Some considerations before you buy a fly vest this week on Catch Guide Outdoor. Notice first of all that my fly vest goes down to my waist. There are other models that are higher, but I believe that those are awkward. They're made for people who like to wade very deep and keep all their stuff dry. But my perspective is that if you're wading up to here, you're in danger of drifting downstream as the buoyancy of your body lifts your boots off the bottom of the stream. So don't wade above waist level, and go ahead and get a waist level fly vest. In addition to the length, you need to make sure that the vest is large enough to go over all the clothing you're going to wear regardless of the season. I'm out here in the Great Smokies in the fall, so I've got a heavy undershirt on, I've got my jacket on, but notice that the vest still fits comfortably over all my gear. If I were kayak fishing and using an inflatable PFD, I would want to make sure that that goes over the top and doesn't rub. But I've got a different video on vest alternatives when you're out kayak fishing that you need to take a look at. The next criteria is material. There are mesh vests and then there are solid cloth vests. The advantage of a I can't even say that. The advantage of a mesh vest is that it's cooler in the summer, but it's going to be colder in the winter. So you got to make a judgment call on that. The next criteria is color. I chose this color because I know that blue herons didn't get to be blue, their shade of gray, by accident. Evolution evolved that color that makes them very effective trout predators. And so I know that this color makes me harder to see from the trout in the stream.
Can you see them up there? This is why I use a vest that's the blue-gray color of a blue heron. There's one standing right up there, and it's kind of hard to see them. I can understand why they're so effective in eating trout. Hopefully, he's standing over a pool, and I'm going to go steal that spot from him. Let's watch him. There he goes.
The next criteria is pockets. You need a vest with enough pockets, but not too many. If you overload on pockets, you're going to feel compelled to add stuff to them, and then you're going to look like a Sherpa heading up to Mount Everest with overloaded gear. You need at least 10 pockets, but don't get more than 20. I like 2 large pockets on the bottom. Since I don't use a tippet spool, I like to have the 4 small pockets on the front where I put my 5X, 6X, 3X, 4X. I put my indicators here and my split shot over here. On the top, you need 2 pockets for your small items, your thermometer, pocket knife, things like that. You need at least 2 D-rings because these are handy to attach things like floating or zingers to make it easier for you to manipulate and work your tools when you're on the stream. In terms of interior pockets, I like these to keep my air horn in to scare away bears and maybe a few extra liters and things like that. But you don't want to overload on the number of pockets. On the back of the fly vest, if you like to use a net, it should have a D-ring back here to attach your net to so you can reach back there and get it, and it keeps the net out of your way. Now, the one mistake you don't want to make when you buy a fly vest is assume that this is also a day pack. Yeah, it's got this big zipper pocket in the back, but if you put a lot of stuff in here, it's all going to be bunched up down around the bottom of your waist and be very awkward and heavy. You want your vest to be as light as possible because you're going to be wearing it all day. So don't make the mistake of thinking that this is also a day pack. Here's the stuff that I take with me into the backcountry, and it deserves its own day pack because I want to be prepared for pretty much anything that can happen, because accidents do happen. So if you want to combine a day pack with a vest, you need to get the type of vest that advertises that it's combined those 2 features. but don't take a regular vest and try and make it do this.
For those of you that think that day pack is pretty obnoxious, yeah, you're right. When I'm going to go fish a hole for an extended period of time, I'll drop it on the side of the stream so I can be stealthy as I sneak up without stuff banging around. I'm going to go fish this hole over here. Well, lucky there's no limit on trees. Gotta go get my fly out of the tree. Dang, I think I've spooked the pool now.
One of the things that's very handy on a vest is to have one of these foam inserts up here that you can attach your flies to. I like using them to attach flies to once I've used them, so I can look down here and see what didn't work. A lot of people like to put a couple flies on here that they intend to use, because then they don't have to go fumble in a fly box to try and find them when they're out on the stream. A lot of vest manufacturers call this a pocket, and they'll cover it with a strap that velcros up here to the top. The other consideration is sometimes these are made out of sheep's wool. I find that obnoxious because the hook tends to catch in those more than it does with the foam, but that's a personal preference, and you need to look at both. One more consideration for when you pick a vest. You need to look at the zippers and make sure that they don't rust, they move smoothly, you can yank them back and forth, and they don't bind, and there are no threads that even after you cut them out will come back and get in the way of the zipper. Also, if you fish in cold weather, you need to make sure those zippers have a little cloth tab on them like this, so you can grab it with your gloves on. That's how you pick a fly vest. A lot of considerations go into buying a very simple but critical piece of equipment. This is going to be snug next to you all day. Make sure it's right, it's comfortable, and it'll carry the gear you need to take. But don't take too much stuff. It just gets really heavy. Minimize what you haul in your vest. Put everything else in your day pack. Comments? Better suggestions? Stick them below. Thank you.